my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. In this podcast directory, I make sure that you have the easiest possible time deciding which wonderful birth supporter is right for inviting into your family's journey. All the potential members of your essential prenatal and postpartum village are assembled right here in the Growing Happy Babies directory. Doulas, midwives, prenatal and infant bodywokers, lactation consultants, and so much more. I'm Adina Kopinski, board-certified lactation consultant and fellow mom. Together, we transition more easily into motherhood. Let's grow some happy babies together. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Today, I'm going to be talking with Rahel Kima. Hello, Rahel.
Hi.
Rahel is a prenatal body worker, a yoga teacher, and runs a fantastic doula training course in the Jerusalem area. So she's going to be talking with us a little bit today about what she offers parents and also what she offers people who are interested in becoming a doula. So a little change from our usual conversation, but I know it's still going to be important and impactful information for everyone. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I always ask people to start the conversation by telling us a little bit about their backstory. How did you get into this field of birth support?
Okay. Well, I in my own personal story is from having given birth, and it changed me. It blew my mind. It was an amazing experience. So that's kind of where I was bitten by the birth bug. And after the birth of my second child, I have 4 children. After the birth of my second, I saw that there was a doula training in Misgav Leidach, what used to be a birth hospital in Jerusalem, and it was in English. And at that point, nobody had heard about doulas in Israel. This was like 28 years ago. And I signed up, and over the years, little by little, started working more and more in the field, raising kids, having kids, raising kids, and starting to go to births. So that's how it was. It was from a good experience, and I find a lot of women either move into this field either from a really, really positive experience or from a really, really traumatic experience, and then they find themselves in the birth world.
I 100% agree. I think that's true about lactation as well. You know, you often find that people who are giving lactation support had a terribly hard time or a blissfully beautiful time.
Exactly.
Can you tell us also what brought you to start your doula training course?
Yeah. So I trained over the years. I started with Misgav Leidach, and then I discovered a book called Birthing from Within, and it was written by this American midwife, and it had a whole nother way of talking about birth. It was from a very, very deep, holistic, soulful, it was from a very introspective way of looking at birth, not just from a either medical or agenda focused. It had a lot of compassion, and I was really, really, really moved by what was written in the book. And I realized that the author, Pam England, was teaching childbirth mentoring in America. So I started flying to America and studying with her, and I went there several times, and it was each time like a week and a half of mentoring in a way that was really, really deep. It was, she had this way of bringing over the information that you first go inside yourself, and then you realize how you bring that to your women. And she purposely called it mentoring and not teaching. And studying with her really, really changed me. And that's how I started teaching my childbirth education classes, was the way that I was trained by Pam. And then at one point, there was just a thought that I want to start training doulas. This is bigger than me, and I want to give it over. And so I created this doula training with another friend. At the beginning, we were two people teaching in Hebrew, and then the last 2 years, I've been teaching it by myself in English, and it's really a mix of so many different teachers that I've had over the years that really, really changed me and helps me grow as a woman and as a birth worker.
Yeah. I love the way teachers bring everything they've learned and give it their unique spin and their own like holistic package, and then bring that to their students, and it's like this inheritance of philosophy that kind of changes and still runs
Yes.
stream together.
Yes, absolutely. I think any teacher of anything really, that's the way it works. It's beautiful. It's like a woven fabric of everybody's heart and soul and thoughts and experiences, and then and you give it over to your students, and then they take it to the next level.
Exactly. Yeah. Can you tell us? You're telling us about your teacher training and your doula training, but I know that you also still work with directly with parents. I think it's
Mhm.
maybe in childbirth education. So, can you tell us a little bit, like to the parents who are listening, what is it that you offer them?
Yeah. So the way I try to prepare parents for birth is from a really um down to earth, practical, and also introspective. It's um, the same things that I'm talking about in the doula course. Really, it's first of all, you want the basic information about birth. Obviously, then people often feel the more information they have, the more prepared they are. Where in actuality, it's not the information that's going to get you through this ordeal. It's something much deeper. It's a connection to self. It's a connection to your inner strengths and resources, and understanding who you are. The more you understand, who you are going into this, the more you understand um, how to maneuver yourself through this labyrinth of birth. And so I try to give, again, the practical information, a lot of pain coping tools, because we all know that birth can be painful. No matter what kind of birth you're planning, even if it's with an epidural, until you get it, you're going to have to cope with something. And also something that supports the couples through their transformative path into parenthood, because I think becoming a mom and dad is probably the hugest, most life changing event that we go through. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about how your identity just completely shifts, and what that means for you, and how you can prepare for that, and what kind of support you can find in advance to help you get through that. Because it's really deep. It's really, really deep. And that's where parents really deserve support.
Yeah. In my prenatal breastfeeding class, I spent a whole module talking about like that profound shift that happens from being someone without children to someone with a child. And like
Yeah,
sociologists have studied it, and it ranks as one of the most stressful transitions that humans go through in life. Like it's
absolutely.
very impactful on our sense of self, sense of identity, how we relate to the world, how we expect the world to relate to us. And it takes time to adjust to it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite piece of advice that you like to give, parents who are, expecting their first child or any child?
Um, I think to come in with a lot of self-compassion, to like move into it, into pregnancy and to birth and into parenthood with a lot of self-compassion, because we tend to come up with a lot of agendas and ideas of a good mom does this, good parents are like this. um, for instance, breastfeeding, right? I have to succeed in breastfeeding, otherwise I'm a failure. So to listen to, those that little inner judge that we have inside of us, and everybody has that little judge that's saying, do this, don't do that, be like this, don't be like that. And we can't always, life is life, and it's gonna take us wherever it takes us and teach us whatever it teaches us. And the more compassionate we are with ourselves going through this process, the more positive a process I believe it can be. And I think I see it as a little tikkun olam, actually, because the more we can accept ourselves throughout this all, the more we can teach that and mentor that to our children as well.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have a favorite story that you like to tell about a birth you attended?
It's the recent births that stick with me the most. So I'll tell you a birth that I was at recently where um, the woman really, really, really prepared. She came to yoga. She came to class. She was seeing a therapist. She really, really, and she had a lot of fears. And she was really open about what's going on with her. And she really had her heart set on a natural birth. And within that, when I prepare couples for that, I really respect those wishes. And I also say, and you have to take into consideration that sometimes it just doesn't go like you want it to go. And for her to make the shift she had a really long, difficult birth, and she was coping for hours amazingly. And she just got tired, and that's hard. That's really, really, there's only so much a woman can cope when she's exhausted and sleep deprived. And she gave it her all. And the shift that she had to do from, okay, I have to let go of this dream and I have to go to the next best thing, which is to take an epidural. It was a really, really interesting dynamic between her and her husband. And I think it was harder for him, actually, which was an interesting twist in the tale, because I think he was really, really trying to protect her, to stay on board with what she had decided she was going to do. And and a lot of times it's the women who have to go through this gate of just kind of falling apart so that they can put themselves back together. And this time it was the husband who had to do that. And it was really profound. It was really moving. And he did. He really, really he broke down. And then she was able to make the shift and he was able to make the shift, and it was really beautiful to see the way that they were able to work with each other throughout this. Really, it was difficult. And they came out feeling like it was a really positive experience and that they learned something about them as a couple through it. And he especially was really, really moved by what he went through in the birth and how it helps him as a father to find also that inner flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow, that is an interesting story. I haven't heard one like that before on this series.
Yeah.
30 interviews in, but to hear
Wow.
the transition really falling emotionally on the father, that's very interesting. We all grow a lot when we give birth, and it doesn't matter if we're the person giving birth or the partner of the person giving birth. It's a real growth experience.
Yeah, and I have a personal, I really feel like part of my own personal passion is to make room for the fathers in this process, because mostly pregnancy and birth and even after birth, it's always the focus is on the woman and the baby, and the fathers sort of, they can get looked over, and I think that they need to be brought in and given some love there too. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's very true. Yeah, from the practitioners and even sometimes from the mother, she's so wrapped up in her own new role as mother and her fierce protective instincts for her baby that she can unknowingly also make the father feel a little excluded from that bubble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So shifting a little bit away from the parents for a second, and a
Mhm.
similar question. What is some advice that you would give to someone who wanted to become a doula or was a newly certified doula? Like, what would you want them to be aware of?
Um, well, I think there's a difference between someone who's looking into a doula training than someone who has decided they're doing it already. So I'm gonna focus on the first half for a minute. Someone who's looking for a doula training, I think, to understand. A lot of times when I interview women, I'm like, "Why do you want to be a doula?" And the answer could be from first of all, I want to say that what's really interesting is that a lot of really young women who are not yet mothers are interested in becoming doulas, and it's a really interesting thing to notice. And and a lot of times they come from a place of like idealization, like birth is so beautiful, babies are so cute. And it's a very, very sweet, innocent place of like, oh, I just want to be part of that magical world. And that's that, that's your first step. There has to be like something inside of you that it's just like you hear this call. And a lot of times women say they've heard the call even as children, like something about birth. I used to watch National Geographic all the time and see, a lioness is giving birth, and something inside is just like bubbling and bubbling and bubbling until they just feel, wow, I really need to do this. So there's a lot of idealization around the work, because it is really fulfilling, and it is going into a magical world, and it's definitely all that. But it's hard work. It's hard work, and there's a lot of you have to have a lot of I talk about inner flexibility a lot for the parents giving birth. Also a doula, you have your life, and then in one phone call you can just you're thrown out of your life, and you're now at a birth. And you have to love that spontaneity, and you have to love the unknown and the unplanned, and or you don't have to love it, but you have to get used to it. You have to prepare for that. It's a crazy lifestyle. It's absolutely fulfilling beyond words, but it's a lifestyle. I think that's my advice is to realize that it's not a 9 to 5, and the passion that gets you going at the beginning, that makes you want to do the course, is hopefully the passion that will be fed and will continue as you go and become a doula.
Yeah, how would people find you if they wanted to take your course?
My doula course is called Birth as a Journey, and they can find me on my website, Rahel Kima, which is Rahel without the C. Or they can Google Birth as a Journey. It'll probably come up either way. And they can send me a WhatsApp, send me a mail, whatever. How would you get in touch with me? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Hopefully I'm out.
You'll be in the directory as well, so everyone can find your phone number and your web address that way.
Okay, great.
So that's also another way to reach you. I'm really happy that you came today, Rahel. Really happy to speak to you, and I think that your words will, be meaningful, not just perhaps to the doulas listening, but also to the expectant parents. Everything, I think, really had a lot to do with preparing to give birth, transitioning into new familyhood.
Yeah. It's a transition, exactly. It's a journey.
Yeah, family as a journey. All of it's a journey.
Yeah, it takes time. The baby's born in one fell second, and then the people look at the mom and dad. They're like, "Oh, your mom, Mazal Tov, your mom and dad," and they don't know who they are and what they are, and that takes time, and that's okay.
Yes,
that's okay.
Yes, yeah. That's a good way to end. Thank you, Rahel.
Okay.
Friends, check out the full directory for every interview we've done up until now, housed at my website, growinghappybabies.com. But before you go, I've got one question. Are you the kind of person who learns better by listening or by doing? In my 2-part online prenatal breastfeeding class, the Pocket Prenatal, I blend the basics of breastfeeding with practical hands-on skills. Choose to watch the videos on your computer or phone, read through the transcripts, or pop in an earbud, take a walk, and listen to the audio-only podcast version. After you've dived into the what's and whys of breastfeeding, join part 2, our live hands-on class, where we roll up our sleeves and practice the how of breastfeeding. Experience hand expression, learn how to size yourself for better pumping, practice bottle feeding techniques that improve your baby's sucking skills, and use easy bodywork exercises to help your baby's comfort, sleep, and digestion. You're going to walk out of this class with an essential toolkit for navigating early motherhood. This is the class every baby needs their mother to take. Go to thepocketprenatal.com and use your listener code Growing Happy Babies for a special 10% discount. See you there.